Texas baseball gets back on the right track. March Madness is maybe around the corner. And who is ready for spring break? All this and more on College Crossfire.
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, let me explain why Aaron Judge is getting it. You can boo me all you want, but I want to see UCF Knights in the playoffs. I want to see them.
The New York Yankees, Los Angeles Dodgers, we're robbed.
Okay.
Take a bow. Take a bow.
This is all chaos.
Welcome back into College Crossfire, the hottest debate show on the 40 acres. I'm your host, Zach Levitt. Tonight we have a very special episode for everybody. It's our spring break episode, and the panel is dressed in their best spring break attire. So let's meet them right now. On first base, we have the defending champion, Jaxie Pidgeon. Jaxie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Zach. Looking for a double win here 2 weeks in a row. So
Awesome.
for the fam this time, though.
Awesome. It's part of the family. It's always great to have them in support. On second base, we have Jordan Geelhoed. Jordan, how are you doing? And it's great to have you back.
Thank you. I'm feeling good. Hopefully I can go out with a bang right before spring break happens. Extra long spring break.
Very, very true. We did find out that there's another week of spring break. And on third base, we have Mr. 305 himself, Raul Rodriguez. Raul, how are you doing?
I'm feeling good. I'm in my element. I'm feeling festive right now. I'm looking forward to the break, and I'm ready to talk sports.
Okay, there it is. And I did say before the show started that I would give the winner of the contest the best dress. I'm gonna go with Jordan. I like the whole outfit with the bucket hat and the towel. You're ready to go in the water if you need to go. So Jordan, you're gonna get the 2 points off the bat right there. But good luck to everybody. You all look great. Don't worry.
Thank you.
So we're gonna move on though. The Texas softball is off to a fantastic start in 2020 with a record of 24-3. The team has had a lot of hype heading to the season and seemed to have lived up to it. This weekend, the Longhorns will travel to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. This is the first time the team has returned there since their NCAA Super Regional elimination last year, which came at the hand of the Crimson Tide. So, what is the biggest change for this team from this year's team to last year's team? Anybody?
Yeah, last year they took on number 5-4 Alabama, and Texas was ranked number 9 at the time. But this year the tables have turned. They have a huge differing factor, and that is Miranda Elledge. She was injured in the second game of the 3-game series last year against Alabama, but she wasn't playing as well last year as she is this year. She's having an incredible season. She just had her second career perfect game, that's what it was, in the first for Texas. So she's having an incredible season, making her mark on the mound. But Alabama was the team that kept them out of the World Series in the first place from last season. So hopefully this season, I think this year's Texas team is ready to come in and be determined to win.
Definitely Miranda Elledge definitely being a huge key for that Texas Longhorn team. Jordan?
Yeah, I think they've improved in really almost every aspect of the team. They've proven that they can go on the road and beat really good teams, as they did against UCLA and Washington, who are probably the 2 best teams in the country. And Miranda Elledge, as you said, Jaxie, is just a really phenomenal pitcher. She was lights out against New Mexico. I think it was New Mexico. And Alabama this year, they're still obviously a good team, but they're not kind of the dominant force that they were. And I feel like as long as Texas is playing as they have been, they should be able to put away the Crimson Tide.
Definitely, it was a big boost for the Longhorns to get those 2 wins in the Pac-12 when they went to California to get those. So for going against Alabama, they should definitely have enough confidence to beat Alabama. Raul?
Yeah, I'm going to just bandwagon up what they said. Obviously, at the end of the year, Texas lost to Alabama. What Texas has right now is momentum. They're on a hot streak. They're doing really well so far. They're 24-3. The 3 games that they have lost have been by by only 1 point. So it's not like they're getting blown out by any means. Jordan said they did beat UCLA, Washington, 2 of the best teams in the country. They're coming into the middle of the season playing Alabama, which is only 14-8, not having their best season. Not a bad team by any means, but just not at the level they were last year, at least right now. And I think coming into this game with all the momentum, looking back last year, I think they're going to have a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder, going to take it to Alabama. I think they're going to do a lot of good things there. I think they're going to win that game.
Yeah, like you said, the Longhorns almost have a perfect season with the way they've only lost they lost their games by very few runs at all. But after that round, we're going to have Jaxie with 3, Jordan with 4, and Raul with 3. Now we go from softball to baseball. After a rough stretch of games in Houston, the Longhorns seemed to recover this weekend with a clean sweep of Cal State Fullerton. The team is off to a great start and had significant contributions from their young talent with big play overall. So, who do you guys believe will be the biggest test for the Longhorns in Big 12 play?
I think the obvious answer would be Texas Tech, but I'm going to say I think Oklahoma is going to be the toughest competition for Texas. When I look at these two teams, I think kind of similar situation. Obviously, Texas's pitchers are doing really good. Their young core is showing out a lot for Texas right now. Oklahoma's another good team, and what's going to really make this a really tough competition for both teams is I think it's going to be a defensive showdown. You look at the Oklahoma starting pitching lineup. They got Cade Cavalli, who's been called the first-round talent by many. He's doing really well for them. He's leading the conference with 37 strikeouts. They got another pitcher, Dane Acker, doing really well for them. Texas has obviously improved on the hitting side of the ball, but I think that when they are going to meet in this series, I think it's just going to be a grinding out, low-scoring game. If they play Texas Tech, I think it's going to be obviously a good game, but I don't think it's going to be as tense as an Oklahoma matchup would be. And obviously the tension between these two schools, huge rivals, that'll be the series to look for when you talk about this Texas baseball team.
Yeah, of course, a huge rivalry, Texas, OU, and OU definitely has some great pitchers on their side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you stole my answer, Raul. I was going to say Oklahoma. Yeah, Texas Tech is probably the better team, and they're probably one of the top 5 teams in the nation. But Oklahoma, as much as it pains me to give them credit, they're no slouches either. They got really, really solid starting pitching, and they're also the first Big 12 opponent that Texas is going to face this season. And I feel like if OU can give Texas enough of a scare during their series, that can kind of slide Texas off of its rhythm, maybe, make them not as comfortable as they are earlier in the season.
Definitely all great points right there, Jaxie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Tech's record is currently 16-2. OU's at 14-4, just one more loss than Texas has. So they're pretty equal contenders, but I think Tech has the edge this time. Yeah, definitely Tech this time. They've had a really impressive start, especially those road wins against number 15 Florida State. So I think Texas is going to need to continue winning to compete with top dogs like Tech.
Yeah, no, Texas Tech definitely a great team from last year, brought great talent back from that team last year, and both teams will be a tough test for the Longhorns overall. So after that, we have Jaxie with 5, Jordan with 6, and Raul with 5. Time to talk women's basketball. This past Sunday, the Longhorns finished their regular season with a win against Oklahoma State. The team finished with a record of 19-11 and ended up with the 3 seed in the Big 12 tournament. On Friday, the team will face off against West Virginia in a rubber match. So, what will be the key to Texas's successes in Kansas City?
I feel like it's probably going to have to come down to strong mental toughness and leadership from the seniors in their locker room, which they have a lot. They have a lot of underclassmen who definitely have a lot of talent. Charlie Collier comes to mind. But those seniors have been in this tournament before, and they're going to bring some of that experience, which you definitely need on a stage as big as this one. Karen Aston, I feel like, is going to be giving her 100% effort, seeing as she's coaching out the last year of her contract. And as long as she makes sure that the girls show up and give their 100% effort, then they should be able to make a run, seeing as they have been struggling with inconsistency the whole season.
Definitely that veteran leadership will be key for the Longhorns, especially with the inconsistencies, as you said.
Yeah, in Kansas City, I think they need to definitely make smarter decisions on shooting, avoid turnovers, and maintain the momentum. This Texas team has been very wild with their shots recently, so throughout the season, it's just, they're not taking their time at all, and you can tell it's very obvious, and, those awkward angles that they're taking, it's just giving the ball away right away. They definitely need to focus on that. Also, they have a frequent way of just always being up in the first half, but then in the second half they fall miserably. So then they just can't catch back up to where they were because they dropped by a lot of points, sadly. So they really just need to be able to keep up their energy throughout the entirety of the game, not just focus on one half or the other.
Definitely poor shot selection has been a big issue with the Texas Longhorns this year, right?
Yeah, so going into the poor shot selection, another thing that I think Texas has to really improve on, they got to really take advantage of their defensive stars right now. And I wouldn't even really call them stars, but they're 2 best defensive players that I've noticed. Joyner Holmes, Charlie Collier, they've been playing really good defense for Texas. And obviously they've been pretty inconsistent. And that doesn't really mean that they're like the best players, but at the end of the day, they're all that they have. They're going against West Virginia. They really need to be a presence under the rim, both offensively and defensively. Because at the end of the day, if they're controlling the game with rebounds, because shot selection, as Jaxie said, not the best. If you're getting those second chance points and really making a lot of effort driving in, opening up space, and just securing the ball, I think it's going to be a lot easier game for Texas to win at West Virginia. I think that momentum can propel them to do even better in the tournament and then better in March Madness if it happens.
Definitely the key from the big men from the Longhorns will be important, especially on the defensive end with rebounding. So after that round, we have Jaxie with 7, Jordan with 8, and Raul with 7. Staying with women's basketball, the team will likely be making its way to the NCAA Tournament. After a very up and down season right now, the team is currently a 10 seed and has some people, up and down and thinking about, deciding if they can pull upsets or not to get all the way to the Final Four. So my question is, how well can Texas do in the NCAA tournament?
I think realistically they can probably make it to the second round of the tournament. Like you said, they're projected to be a 10 seed right now. I think the last time I checked the bracket, they were projected to be going against Arizona State, who they've lost 3 of their last 4 games, whereas Texas, on the other hand, has won 3 of their last 4, and their only loss was against Baylor, who might be the best team in the country. And so I feel like if they can, again, show up, be consistent, they can beat Arizona State. However, if they do make it to the second round, their projected opponent next would probably be UConn, and UConn is UConn. Dominant isn't enough of a descriptor for how they've been.
Definitely would need to be a big upset against UConn if the Longhorns were able to get past their first round opponent, whoever that would be. Anyone?
Yeah, I think it depends who they get paired up against the first round and how well they play. Excuse me. Because this team is very inconsistent. So that being said, they do have the ability to upset powerhouse teams like they did in December against Stanford. But if they play like they did against Iowa State, they're not making it past the first round. If they play like they did against Stanford, they may make it to the quarterfinals. But that's only if, and I say only if, Joyner Holmes, Charlie Collier, and Celeste Taylor all bring their A game at the same time.
Definitely. With the NCAA tournament, you got to get a little luck of who your opponent is. Maybe Texas will get lucky and draw an easier matchup compared to where they're projected right now. Raul?
Yeah, I'm gonna go same thing. Texas, if they get lucky, I think they'll make it to the third round, depending on who they get paired up with. That first round is gonna be crucial. You're gonna go off from the Big 12 tournament, ride that momentum in. I think it's gonna be a really important thing for Karen Aston to instill in these Longhorns kind of winning mentality. You talked about the inconsistency that they've been having this entire year. It's going to be really important in the tournament where all eyes are on them to not only step up to the challenge, but dominate all of their opponents so that when they do play against their next opponent, which could be UConn, depending on how the bracket goes, they got to be ready to play. And I think Karen Aston has got to do a really good job with that. She's, Jack said, and it's her last, or used, and the last contract year for her. This is her year to kind of step up and instill a winning culture for the Lady Longhorns.
Definitely Karen Aston needs to instill some confidence in those Lady Longhorns. After round 1, we have Jaxie with 9, Jordan with 10, and Raul with 9. When we come back, the panel debates all things March Madness as they decide their favorite to win it all and who will be this year's Cinderella story. Welcome back into College Crossfire Spring Break Edition. Let's quickly recap the score. We have Jaxie with 9, Jordan with 10, and Raul with 10. Remember, it's anybody's game still. So now let's get into some Texas basketball. As the great NFL coach Dennis Green once said, they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. That quote seems to be perfectly describe what happened this week for the red-hot Longhorns this past weekend as they were blown off of Frank Irwin against the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and ultimately ruined a chance of potentially getting the tournament. But now in the Big 12 tournament, they will go against the Texas Tech Red Raiders and have a chance to earn their way back in potentially. So how does Texas get into the dance? Jaxie, we're going to start with you.
They need to make a big statement in the Big 12 tournament. Big statement. Their 500 record gave them a surprising shot at an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament despite that loss to Oklahoma State. Oof, it's just, it was brutal to watch. But the offense needs so much work. This is their 9th game that they shot under 40%. Against OSU, they were just 35%. So that's one of those 9. And it just needs a lot of improvement, but they need that win versus Tech very badly. Luckily, they have underclassmen that are great, Kai Jones, Andrew Jones, and Courtney Ramey, that if they do rise to the occasion could be a huge differentiator in the game. So the NCAA tournament is not a reach for Texas, but I do think that if they make an impressive run in the Big 12 tournament, that they don't have to go to the NIT again. So.
Definitely, the NCAA tournament, which looked like a reach 2 to 3 weeks ago, now is right in their grasp. They just got to do work against Texas Tech, it looks like. Jordan?
Yeah, I think that for Texas to even have a shot at the NCAA tournament, they have to make an impressive showing in the Big 12 tournament, and I think it's pretty much a necessity that they beat Texas Tech. They're lucky to catch Tech coming off of a 4-game skid, and the Longhorns were building momentum before that OSU game just completely took the wind out of their sails. I don't even know what happened. But if we go in,
offense.
Yeah, there we go. We had a
And
complete
defense,
lack
both.
of strategy on both sides of the ball, pretty much. And as long as we go in with some kind of strategy against Texas Tech, I think we could have a shot. However, if we don't beat Tech, it's going to be a long selection Sunday that'll probably end in heartbreak.
Definitely, depending on the result, obviously that first game tomorrow at 11:30 a.m., it will decide if Texas will be waiting, being very nervous, or feeling pretty confident going into Selection Sunday, right?
Yeah, so just going back to that game, they've all I don't know what happened. I think the student body as a whole kind of jinxed that because everybody kind of knew Texas performed well, playing other games. But now the one game that the student body was all there for, they just they kind of blew it. Going into the tournament, they got to make a huge statement. Texas Tech, all been said, that's a must. Going forward, whoever they play after Texas Tech, they need to do really well. They have to make at least go to overtime, play a hard game, high-scoring game. You got to get your players involved. Courtney Ramey, Matt Coleman, Andrew Jones, and Kai Jones had a great game against OSU. Unfortunately, it wasn't really much to get him to that win.
No one else did.
Yeah, exactly. So they need to have at least two of their players be on fire, have them get going, and then you're looking at a potential run into the tournament.
Yeah, no, definitely. Those are all great points there. Everybody kind of had a similar answer, but I'm going to give the point to Jaxie because I do like her point about the offense needing to be more productive. They have not been productive all year. Maybe they'll have a good offensive performance against Texas Tech. So, Jaxie, you will be getting the point. Well, people, it's March, so you know what that means. My favorite tournament is upon the big dance. One shining moment, known as March Madness. In the past year, the NCAA Tournament has been known for its crazy upsets, dramatic buzzer beaters, and great fan experience, except for this year. Each year there's some team that nobody picks to win it all, and they go on a crazy run, they pick up some upset victories, and next thing you know, they're in the Final Four. So, which mid-major team do you think is this year's Cinderella story? Jordan, we're going to start with you.
I think that it's hard to choose any kind of really anything at all, seeing as college basketball this season has been so sporadic and unpredictable. But if I had to choose one, I would probably say LSU. They're projected around an 8 or a 9 seed. Thank you. And I think they're better than their record lets on. I was there during their game against UT, and they just completely dominated us. I mean, as OSU showed, it's not really hard to do that. But they've got a really good nucleus of talented young players led by Skylar Mays, he's a big play waiting to happen. And they're top 25 in the country in points and rebound rate. I feel like they could potentially upset a 1 seed.
They definitely have plenty of talent at LSU. They have a great head coach in Will Wade, and they definitely can make some noise in the big dance. Raul?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a big sleeper. I'm going to go St. Mary's.
Okay.
They're a team that play in the Western Coast Conference. In terms of talent in that conference, the only big teams that are notable, especially this season, are BYU and Gonzaga. Gonzaga, obviously, the number 2 right now. They played against some teams who are going to be entering the tournament pretty much given. Wisconsin, they beat Wisconsin. Utah State beat Utah State, beat Arizona State, and they've also beat BYU. So this is a team that made it to the tournament last year, lost in the first round. They're a good team. They're 26-8. They have what it takes to make it deep into this tournament, and I think they're going to be the perfect Cinderella story, if there's any, just because you don't really talk about St. Mary's. But when they're in a conference that's kind of got some talent and they're doing as well as they are, they're going to be a team to look at when you're looking at potential upsets.
Yeah, they definitely have played some great competition, and that team is led by standout point guard Jordan Ford. He's one of the better, more underrated players in the country, in my opinion. Jaxie?
I'm going to go with Providence. They just moved up on the potential seed list from 48 to 28, so now they're a prospect for a number 7 seed. They've won they won 5 games in a row against ranked opponents in the month of February, and that was, top teams Butler, Creighton, Marquette, Villanova. Yeah, all those, and that was one of 5 teams to ever beat 5 ranked teams in a single calendar month, for a regular season, of course. But they're led by Luwane Pipkins, and he's been averaging about 19.2 points per game in that 6-game win streak. So that is a huge deal, and he can definitely make his mark in the tournament, and I think Providence can shake things up.
Providence, of course, they did they did defeat the Longhorns early in the year, had a great performance. They struggled, but then they really started to hit fire, and it looks like they'll be in the NCAA tournament. Those were all great picks, but I'm going to go with Raul and go with St. Mary's. They are a little bit more of a sleeper. They're a team that's been getting to the tournament, but this year they didn't have the greatest year, but they had a nice Western Conference tournament, so it could be their year. So Raul, you will be getting the point there. Now, despite all the great Cinderella stories out there in March Madness, they usually do not come up with the victory. This season has been a unique one, as there's not, a clear top team in the country. Kansas is ranked number 1 right now. It seems to be the best, but it looks like there are a lot more. There could be dozens of teams, that have a chance to sing that one shining moment song at the end of the season. So, in your opinion, who do you guys believe will win it all in Atlanta? Right, well, let's start with you.
I'm going to go with Virginia repeating.
Ooh,
I think they have what it takes to go back and win it all over again. If you look at how they've been playing, they're on an 8-game win streak. They've beaten some great teams, Louisville, Florida State. ACC is a really good conference for basketball. So they definitely have the experience, and they have the momentum from last year to get to that point in the tournament. And also, you look at their stats. They're the #1 scoring defense team in the country, so they're a tough team defensively to play against. And if you look at how basketball is played, if you have a really tough defensive team, they can go far. And Virginia is the team to do it, especially with kind of the culture that they have in that school. Obviously, a huge basketball program. So I have them repeating, and I have them making a big show of it, too.
Yeah, Tony Bennett's done an excellent job with that program, and they're always great on the defensive end. Jaxie?
I'm going to go with Kansas. Kansas is ranked 7th in offensive efficiency and 2nd on the defensive end, and they are the only team that has top 10 marks on both sides of the ball. They haven't lost a game since January 10th, and the only 3 that they've lost have been against ranked opponents. Also, Bleacher Report mentioned that they have the best guard big man duo, Devin Dotson and Udoka Ayudubi, and both of them can definitely. That duo is insane, and Kansas is already a great program anyway, so talent's great.
After that Baylor win that they had earlier in the year, it seems like they've just risen up and solidified themselves as a clear #1 team. Both Dotson and Azubuike are excellent players. Jordan?
Yeah, I was going to go with Kansas as well, Jaxie, seeing as it's, just because this season has been so sporadic, it's good to have a reliable decision, and they're probably the best team in the country. Azubuike, he's one of the best players in the country. But I'm also going to say I think that Maryland has a legitimate shot to make it to the Final Four. They won the Big Ten tournament, and they're a very guard-oriented team. They can make a lot of threes, and I feel like that's really important in today's basketball.
Yeah, you know what? Those were all great answers. I'm going to go with Maryland. The reason why I say this is because Maryland has senior guard Anthony Cowan, and and senior guards in NCAA tournaments have been big, and Jalen Smith's another great player. So, Jordan, you will be getting the point there. So, after this round, we have Jaxie with 10, Jordan with 11, and Raul with 10. When we come back, the panel debates some of the hottest topics regarding what to do, where, and see on spring break. Welcome back into College Crossfire, and now it is time for the rapid fire round of this spring break edition. First, let's recap the score, though. We have Jaxie with 10, Jordan with 11, and Raul with 10. And remember, each question in this round is worth 2 points, so it is anybody's game. Each year, college students all over the country can't wait until March comes around and they can get a week off of school, or for Texas, 2, to do whatever they want, whether it's going to a beach, whether it's going to travel somewhere around the world, or doing absolutely nothing. So, in your opinion, what is the best way to spend spring break?
I feel that, my bad.
No, you can go.
Speaking from experience, I would say that the 100% best way to spend spring break is to travel around the world. My family and my dad especially, he's a big fan of doing that, seeing as he's not a big fan of crowds and people, and so he doesn't like to go to the beaches. And so we've been to some crazy places, like we went to Dubai last year. We did a Euro vacation, Hawaii, and so I feel like I've had great experiences doing that.
Yeah, can't complain about that.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
If you've never been to the Bahamas, where the water is so clear, then that's where you need to go for spring break. That is the best place to spend it. The temperature is perfect. It's, tropical. The water is crystal clear, and it's the water, the beach. You're having a good time. You can kick up on the sand, buy whatever drinks you are if you're of age. And you can have a good time there. It's one of the best places to go on spring break.
Yeah, can't complain about the Bahamas there. Jaxie?
I'm topping the Bahamas with Hawaii 100%. My favorite place in the entire world. Also, Clearwater's not you go in there much, but everything around it, like people are nice, the food's great, everything about it, you can't go wrong with Hawaii.
Yeah, no, those were all excellent choices. I'm going to go with Jordan, though, because I do like, traveling around the world, being with the families. If you have the opportunity to do it, I think it's a great way to spend your spring break. So, Jordan, you will get the 2 points right there. Almost a decade ago, a picture took the internet by storm as it showed Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, and LeBron James on vacation together, all riding the same banana boat. These best friends would be later known to be called the Banana Boat Squad and take the world by storm, and their friendship is still strong till this day. So, it's time to create your dream banana boat situation. Choose 3 athletes that you would add onto your banana boat.
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay.
Okay, I got it. I already got it.
Let's see.
Dirk Nowitzki,
Okay.
Luka Doncic, and Kristaps, 100%. That would be the
Ooh, all
greatest.
Dallas.
But Luka has to be in the middle because they're
you
like both
guys.
tall. So like.
There it is. That was a good one right there. You go.
Yeah, I'm going to continue with the Texas basketball theme. I'm going to go with Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Greg Popovich, have the most sensible, fundamental banana boat of all time. That thing is never going to tip. It's not going to go crazy. It's going to be sturdy, reliable. You can always rely on it.
I'm going to go with the ultimate fun guy, Kawhi Leonard. If you're on the boat, Kawhi Leonard, you're going to have a fun time. I'll go with him. I'll go with Dan Marino, tropical dude. He's been around there. He'd be a good guy to have on the boat. And I'll probably go Peyton Manning. He's got the dad mentality. He'll make sure everything's going all right on the boat. We got a nice combination of different kind of
You know
personalities.
what? It's tough. Yeah, no, because those are all great choices. I'm going to go with you, Raul, though. I kind of like the different personalities. You got a little Kawhi in there. You got a little Peyton Manning, add it all up. And Dan Marino, a fun guy. I know he's a Florida guy, so right there. So, Raul, I'm going to give you the 2 points right there. On to the last question now. So just like us tonight, everyone loves getting into their best and most comfortable clothes for their spring break trip. One popular outfit to pick out for spring break is wearing an athlete's jersey. Each year, people will buy the hottest and newest jerseys to impress the rest. So, which jersey would you guys want to rock at a spring break party?
Oh, I mean, you can't go past the Tyler Hero
I was
Miami
about to
Heat
say,
jersey. However, I'm going to have to choose. I'm a big fan of Will Ferrell's jersey from Semi-Pro.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The tropics. It's got the nice aquamarine color, the palm trees. It's a good reference for people who understand it. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Semi-Pro jersey.
Can't go wrong there with Jack and Moon. And
Yeah, I got the Toon Squad jersey.
Okay.
That one's pretty cool, and you can pair some either American flag vibes with it. It goes all out, full outfit, Toon
Yeah.
Squad.
I just got to go keep it home. I got to get one of these Miami Vice jerseys. Why not? They match the spring break environment. 305, pay for your vacation. Why
You
not?
know what? Those are all great jerseys. Really tough to call, but I'm a big Will Ferrell guy, and I'm going to go semi-pro. So, Jordan, I'm going to give the points to you. And with that, you are our winner tonight. Jordan, everybody give a round of applause for Jordan. I believe it's the first win of the semester, right? Do we have time for FaceTime?
Yes, but short.
Okay, so, Jordan, take it away.
I would like to shout out my friends in San Antonio watching this. Shout out San Antonio, shout out the Farmsteads. Shout out my mom and dad who are watching from Hawaii because they took spring break a week early. Shout out my uncle who's like a big Kansas fan. He's probably really mad I didn't choose Kansas.
There it is. Congratulations again, Jordan. Great job, and great job to the panel overall. Remember, thank you for tuning in to the show. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all of the panelists and people in studio and Master Control, have a wonderful rest of your week and spring break.